There are moments in research when a thing that has been true for a long time becomes visible as true for the first time, when the evidence, which was always there and which everyone had read, assembles itself in a configuration that admits only one interpretation, and the interpreter goes briefly still, because the interpretation has a weight they had not anticipated carrying. Eboa's pen had stopped moving. He was looking at the map with the expression of a man who has been running an argument in his head and has just encountered a term that changes the algebra.
The people who are not in the basin during 400 to 1000 CE are somewhere else.
Yes.
And the somewhere else is. The somewhere else is here. The corridor didn't collapse. The corridor completed.
The room went still in the way that rooms go still when something has been said for the first time that is also immediately, obviously true, not the stillness of surprise, but the stillness of recognition, which is a different thing and in some ways harder to receive. Kitu looked at the map for a long time. He looked at the place on the map where Quilu Kasai was, at the sterile horizon 40 centimeters deep, at the 700 years of silence he had been defending as evidence of catastrophe. Are the people who left the basin?
Yes.
Their descendants are. He stopped. He did not finish the sentence. He did not need to finish it. Kitala was looking at the coastal record, at the K-Ladio sequence, at the roulette adoption in the later Iron Age, at the integration that the early Iron Age had not achieved, and the later Iron Age had the large-scale cultural integration, the first time the whole corridor seemed to operate as a connected system rather than a series of isolated traditions. He had been arguing for the coastal corridor's integrity for the last hour. He now understood why the corridor had integrity, not because it survived the collapse, but because the people who moved through the collapse arrived at the corridor and stayed, and are the reason it still shows continuity in the record.
We are the remnant communities. That is the language Sadensticker uses for the 61 sites. Remnant communities, small pockets of settlement persisting through the hiatus. We are not the people who stayed in the basin. We are the people who arrived at its edges.
Devonte wrote on the legal pad, "The hiatus is the expansion." He looked at it. He looked at the three of them.
We've been counting the basin, looking at the interior and reading absence. 61 sites, 700 years of silence, calling it a collapse. But the people are here. They moved. The corridor worked so completely it emptied itself. The interior went quiet because the interior was the road, not the destination. And the descendants of the people who moved, the people who arrived at the coasts, the forest edges, the southern savannas, the places where the great later populations consolidated, are producing the communities whose descendants are sitting at this table. It did not break, it delivered.
What followed was not silence exactly. It was the particular quality of four people in a room each having the same thought from a different direction, arriving at the same place by different routes, which is what the scholarship calls convergence, and which in a room of living people feels like something else entirely. The paper has to say this.
It has to be careful how it says this.
It has to say it first, then it can be careful.
Devonte picked up his pen. He wrote at the top of a new page, Section 4, what the hiatus is. He looked at Eboa.
The anchor zone, 670 BCE. Give me everything.
Go.
They worked until 2 in the morning. When they stopped, the legal pad had 14 pages of notes, and the laptop held a new draft of Section 4 that none of them had expected to write that evening, on a question none of them had arrived expecting to answer. Outside, Atlanta ran its engines. Inside, the corridor lay across the table in pieces, assembled, not yet final, requiring the morning and several more sessions and Bruges' precision to become what it would become. But the shape was there. Kitu closed his notebook. The silence wasn't grief. It was departure. Nobody responded, but the words stayed in the room the way certain words stay, the way things stay that have been said for the first time and are therefore not yet used, still carrying the full weight of their first meaning, before repetition has worn the edges smooth. The corridor had not broken. It had done exactly what a corridor does. It had moved the people through, and the proof of its success was that at the far end, where the dispersal had reached, they were still there.